guys, and welcome back to Abby's Bible Studies. If you didn't see my last video, it was a video, well, there's two of them. One of them was the normal scheduled video, which actually came out last. The one I'm talking about is the one about the Louisiana wildfires. So, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but yes, I do live in Louisiana. And if you know anything about Louisiana, it is the wettest state that there is. It pretty much rains all the time, normally. Well, this year, it has been very hot and very dry. In the past month, it's barely rained at all. And for the last, I want to say week, I don't know exactly when they started, but there's been wildfires going on, and they have been pretty bad. There was a mandatory evacuation for an entire city. Now, I don't know exactly what this city looks like, how extensive the damage is. I haven't seen pictures, and I obviously haven't been there because they're still going on now. But we did get some rain today, and I'm hoping that, and it's supposed to rain again tomorrow, that the rain that we're having now will be able to allow the first responders to contain the fires more and extinguish them in the very near future. So keep praying, and if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. And there's some pictures of the fire that people had sent me to show how extensive this situation is. I believe I know there was at least two big ones. One which is called the Tiger Island fire, which is in 2 cities, and that one's the biggest one that's still spreading. There was one in Evans, and I believe that one was put out. And there was another one. Well, that's just around the area that I live. But but there's other ones. It's not just in this area. There's other forest fires across the entirety of the state of Louisiana. So Louisiana in general needs your prayers, asking for rain to put out these fires, because our firefighters, this is something new to them. They're not used to week-long wildfires that are spreading at the speed of light, almost. Probably not quite that fast, but. So, anyways, this week we are going to be continuing the 7 lessons of Joseph. And I haven't decided yet, but next week we might be talking about Esther. I might change my mind because I'm still studying in the book of Matthew. I kind of put a pause on that, and I'm picking it back up. So, who knows? I'm not sure where I'm going to be next. It's wherever God leads me. Before we get started, I'm going to say a prayer. Dear God, I pray for rain in Louisiana first and foremost. I have faith that you can stop these fires before they reach the community in which I live. Even though people in the region that I live are affected greatly, people that are going to my church are having to evacuate. God, I pray for rain here. I also pray that you give me the right words to say and the strength to convey what you need me to do. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. And I hope you enjoy, and we are going to be picking up with the 5th lesson of Joseph's life. And we're starting in Genesis 39 and 12. And I did not pre-figure these out, so it might take me a second to find where the verses are at. And I am so sorry about that. Did not even think about it before. Genesis 39 and 12. And I'm reading out of an ESV Bible. It's my study Bible. So in case you're wondering, I'm not reading out of the NLT like I normally do. That's my journal Bible, which is the one I use most of the time. But I've been switching it up and using like New King James Version. And then this one, the ESV 12. Now, his brothers went to the pasture their father's flock near Shechem. Oh, that's 37 and 12. That's why that made no sense to me. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. 39 and 12. She caught him by the garment and said, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. And then 1 Corinthians, chapter number 10, verse 13. Oh, I almost turned it exactly to it. It was one page off. 10 and 13. The hardest part is finding it with these little numbers. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will let you be tempted beyond your ability, but with the temptation he will also provide the way to escape. That way that you may be able to endure it. And then the last verse for this section is James 4 and 7. James 4 and 7. Ooh. Sorry if I'm like singing while I'm trying to find these. James 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Okay. When Potiphar's wife made her aggressive move to Joseph lie with her, he ran. What Joseph did physically was based on an action already stored in his heart. He recognized the sin, he faced it, and did the best thing. He got as far away from the tempter and temptation as possible. We as believers can rest assured that God will always give us a way out of every temptation. We can flee from sin and lean into Jesus. Temptation is a part of being a Christian and being a follower of Christ. Jesus was tempted 3 times by the devil. Can't remember what book it was in. It's definitely in the Gospels, but I don't remember the exact book. And that's also it's not my favorite story, because if you know anything about me, Esther is my all-time favorite story, and Joseph is my second one. That's why I'm thinking about doing Esther next. But Jesus was tempted 3 times by the devil, and I don't know the specifics of the story, and I really don't want to tell you the wrong thing, so I'm not going to go into more detail about that. It is one of my favorite stories, so I know about it, but I don't know specifically. And that's one of my biggest fears, especially with doing this, is telling you guys the wrong information and then you being led astray because of me. So, back to this. There's going to be things that tempt you in life. And I've come to realize my biggest temptation in life is pleasing others and music. I really like music, and I have to watch which music I listen to now and pay attention to it very closely, because most of the time I'm listening to the music for the background, not necessarily the lyrics, but the instrumental part of it. But if I don't pay more attention to the instrumental, sometimes the music won't have the best meaning, and it put me in a position where I was struggling with things that I really shouldn't have. And then that was partially because I've been trying to please people more than please God. And that's my biggest temptation, is trying to make people happy, and music, like I said. But I'm getting way better at it. For the time being, I've cut secular music out, except for when I'm at guard practices, because I don't control the music there. And I'm just trying to get back to where that's not an issue. And so, next section. Lesson number 6, give God all the glory. And we're starting in Genesis 40, chapter 8. Genesis 40. Genesis chapter 40, verse 8. Genesis 40, chapter 8. That's what I said. They said to him, we have had dreams, and there was no one to interpret them. And Joseph said to them, do not interpretations belong to God? Please call them to me. 40, chapter 8, and 40, verse 8, and Genesis 41, verse 16. Which is on the next page. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. So, and then the next verse is 1 Corinthians 10 and 30. I'm sorry this is taking me so long. I should have set them out and figured where they were at before I started recording this, but I did not. It's okay though. So 10 and 31. So whether you eat, drink, or whatever you do, do all for the glory of God. Joseph displayed immediate reverence for God when questioned about the dream interpretation. He said to the chief baker and steward, "Do not interpretations belong to God?" That's Genesis 40:8. And to Pharaoh, "It is not me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Genesis 41:16. When we believers gain notoriety for a particular act, service, or accomplishment, it is always best to give glory to the one who made it possible. Hide behind the cross and let people see Jesus, not you. So, like, what that is saying is, for instance, if you're auditioning for, say, All-State Band, which I'm actually doing, and you make it, it's not, yes, it's because of your abilities, but God gave you those abilities to make it, so give God the glory for allowing you to make it. Or in Joseph's case, he could interpret dreams. He had the gift of interpreting dreams, but it came from God, and God gave it to him. So it wasn't of his own accord, it was because God gave him the will and the intelligence, not necessarily intelligence, but like gave him the ability to interpret them. And so what this is saying is, like, don't glorify yourself. Don't be egotistical. Give God the glory for the accomplishments and abilities that he's giving you. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't be giving Bible studies because I used to be a very shy person who didn't talk to a single soul. And now, if you know me now, I never stop talking. So, anyways, number 7, the last one. Honor the authorities God places over you. Genesis 41:33 says, 41. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. And then 50 and 20 in Genesis. As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive, and they are today. And then the last verse in Titus chapter 3, verse 1. Brain blanking moment. I forgot where Titus was. I don't know that I've actually ever read I've actually read the Bible through one time, but I don't remember a lot of it. It was several years ago. So I don't really remember much about Titus. Titus chapter 3 verse 1 says, "Remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work." After Joseph gave God's message to Pharaoh regarding his dreams, Joseph suggested to Pharaoh, "Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh replied, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards the throne will I be greater than you." Genesis 40:39-40. While Joseph, while retaining his loyalty to the Lord, showed deference to Pharaoh. As believers, we place God first in our lives. Yet we show ourselves as his by how we treat others. We are to love them as we love ourselves, and to submit to the authorities the Lord has placed over us, yet always placing God's law above man's. Every book in the Bible is full of lessons for us. As you read through the account of Joseph's life in Genesis, think about why certain passages are in it and ask God what he wants you to know about him through it. Seek lessons. They are surely there. So there's many lessons throughout Joseph's life, and this is only 7 of them. I don't remember honestly if this one was in here. You could give a lesson about forgiveness in Joseph's life because he forgave his brothers for what they did to him. And there's so many other lessons that you could do on Joseph's life, and that's just 7. There's probably 30 or more. I would definitely recommend digging deeper into Joseph if you like. He's someone in the Bible to definitely look up to. I mean, all the main characters in the Bible per se are people that you should look up to. And a lot of them came from a dark place, but were brought out of it. But it shows that God will bring you through trials and tribulations and struggles, but he will also bring you out of those. Joseph was sold into slavery to become a servant in Potiphar's house, and he was well trusted by Potiphar, but then he was put in prison because he was accused of being aggressive toward Potiphar's wife. But then because he was put in prison, he was then put in a position to become second in command of Egypt. And God has a plan for your life, and trust him, and trust in what he's doing. And as someone who trust is not always the easiest for me, I mean, it can be, and at times, especially recently, I've been finding it really hard to trust in God. And I'm just going to be transparent and real. It's hard sometimes, but you have to pray and trust him. And it's hard. It really is, especially not knowing what the future holds. With me being a senior, I'm graduating soon. I don't know what the future holds. I have an idea of what God wants me to do, but I don't know everything. And I know that he has many promises in my life. And part of me is scared about that because I used to be this person that had everything planned down to a T until my last dying breath. I don't know if I was quite that far yet, but eventually I would get there. And now I have no idea. I have a slim idea, and I'm still praying about it. I'm still asking for guidance. Right now, one of my biggest prayers is I'm seeking guidance and through like pastoral staff in every way that I can, or like people in the church, because I don't really know what I want to do anymore. But thank you for watching. Please be in prayer for the people of Southwest Louisiana specifically, but also people across the state of Louisiana dealing with these fires. I did notice today that my area is no longer under the the weather app said it didn't have the red flag warning, which is the fire warning. So please be in prayer for the state of Louisiana. Thank you for watching, and I will be back next time. Love you guys. Bye.